Alright guys, Heczquarters back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Dashy is explaining exactly why he doesn't play with the rest of the OpTic guys when they're playing their online qualifying matches, instead deciding to go for the Heczquarters setup instead, and also some latest stats revealing just how impactful Ghosty has been to the turnaround of the OpTic Texas this season. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. First of all, just quickly here on the current point standings. If you guys didn't see it yesterday, this is the official CDL graphic. 5 teams confirmed to go to champs: FaZe, OpTic, Ultra, Thieves, subliners. There is definitely still a race for seeding here because FaZe and OpTic 15 points apart. FaZe and OpTic both have just one game left, I believe, so far in the qualifiers, so assuming they win both, then they'll get to 335, 320 respectively, and if OpTic were to then win the major with, let's say, FaZe getting seconds, that would be enough to overhaul that 15-point gap, and they would win the head-to-head tiebreaker for sure, OpTic versus FaZe, and even if the first tiebreaker isn't head-to-head on the season, then they'll win probably series win-loss or map win-loss regardless. So that's what OpTic need to do. If they win the major, if they win everything else, they will get the #1 seed. That will, of course, give them maximum confidence, of course, going into champs, and it's definitely still possible. Outside of that, it's very competitive here, right? You guys know that when we get to champs, FaZe, or let's say #1 seed plays #8 seeds, so that's kind of where you want to be. And of course, we get down to Las Vegas Legion versus Minnesota Rokkr, where it's super tight right now, and if Vegas were to win their final match against Surge, and Rokkr were to lose their final 2 games against Thieves and Toronto, then they'll be all tied up going into the major, which is probably what we would like to see. First of all, a remarkable storyline emerging over the last day or so with regard to the maps in the game. There was this I thought was kind of funny, that back in COD 4 2007, Shipment was never meant to be a proper multiplayer map. They added it kind of by accident. It was just used for playtesting. The other talk on the maps, though, has been for this current game, Modern Warfare 2, with design director Jeff Smith saying they are now going to lean into maps that will play, in their opinion, for the competitive side very well. This is the full quote, and, you know, I'm not making this up. We have our plan for post-launch. Maybe those maps haven't been started, but at least have been earmarked to what we want to achieve, and then goes on to say, as a fun side note, I'll probably get in trouble for this. Don't know if he's getting in trouble or he believes he might get in trouble for either because he's leaking it, or whether because he's saying that they might be aligning a bit more with the competitive scene. We know that Infinity Ward's opinion on competitive is that it ruined COD. Now, they might have to be eating a bit of humble pie here, just because their multiplayer game is literally being kept alive by the ranked mode. So they might have been told that, or have finally realised that, and as he says here, but the last 3 maps of the year, we've kind of leaned into maps that we think would suit that style really well, talking about the competitive chunk of the COD community. Now, let's be honest, right? Do Infinity Ward actually, even if they try and make a good competitive map, you know, do we trust them to do so? I guess I want to look on the positive side of this and say that they might have realised that competitive is actually pretty important to the state of the game, and that especially for the final few months. Now look, how many people are going to actually be playing Modern Warfare 2 after the game's over, especially when champs is done, and many of the pros probably go back to Cold War or some actual decent game in the off-season to play for fun. That might be what people go back to and not really play Modern Warfare 2 ranked anymore, but still, they want to introduce more competitive maps down the line that could get introduced to the ranked mode in a few months' time. The problem is, again, is that why didn't they just do this at the start of the season? The season is over. Do they know the season is over, right? I mean, okay, it's not over yet. We've got a few weeks left, but champs is in the middle of June, and then it's done and dusted for the year. Whereas these maps, if they're even any good, are going to arrive in probably August, right? So the last 3 maps would be Season 5 content, which is in August. The CDL's over middle of June. So there's no chance these maps, even if they're any good, would be used for competitive regardless. And yes, they might make it into the final couple of months of Modern Warfare 2 ranked, but it kind of misses the point. So I want to look on the positive side of this, but I just find it hilarious in a way that by the time Infinity Ward have come to the realization that actually, yeah, maybe we should make some maps that will work well for hardpoint, search, control, whatever, even if they know how to do that, the season's done anyway, and Modern Warfare 2 is not going to be played again, right? It's going to be Modern Warfare 3 next year, and we'll talk about that a bit more detail later today. So that's the update on that side. Thought it was pretty entertaining, but yeah, unfortunately, unfortunately, they've missed the boat a little bit on making better maps for the state of the game. Another big update actually yesterday coming out of Nickmercs. Of course, we saw the other day that he had his operator added into the game, came back and played a bit of Call of Duty. I think they went back to Apex probably, but he confirmed yesterday that himself and more than likely others, Tim the Tapman I'm sure, and others as well, have been paid, or I mean straight up about it, to do a watch party during champs. This is, I can't see a negative side of this, right? They want the viewership to go up. We know the watch parties have been killing it. I think even back in MW19, did Vicstar not do a couple for like London Royal Ravens or something like that anyway? There's been a few that have been done. I think Tim the Tapman might have done some before as well, with permission on YouTube. Now, of course, it can be done on Twitch, so, or YouTube, I suppose, respectively as well, even though I think officially the watch parties need to be on Twitch or whatever. They'll figure it out. But look, I think this is cool stuff. They're really trying to break the viewership record this year. They probably will achieve it with stuff like this. And as far as I'm concerned, this is actually a good spend of the marketing money from Activision's side, rather than spending 120 grand on these bounty games, you know, paying guys like Nickmercs to do these sponsored kind of watch party streams. It's probably going to be way more impactful than actually getting like a large audience to watch the scene in the future, even after he stopped doing his broadcast. So that's my opinion. Intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below.
Get this, okay? Call of Duty's paying me to do a CDL watch party of the championship. So we're going to do it. I'm really hoping that if FaZe Clan gets to the finals, that way it can be like extra hot. And I'm also like really hoping that the Thieves do not. But either way. So I'll see you guys there on that day.
I want to talk about the OpTic situation in some more detail, just because we know that for some time now, the OpTic guys have played out of the former Envy headquarters in the heart of downtown Dallas, or whatever methods used to say to impersonate Hastro. But we know that Dashy doesn't play from there. He prefers to play from the Heczquarters, which is in Frisco, right? A fair bit away from the heart of downtown Dallas. So Dashy explains why that's the case, why he actually went there a couple of times. He didn't really work out with the internet. He feels like his game day routine and the setup and everything that happens at the Heczquarters is way better for him, and he's pretty much undefeated there recently as well, especially since Ghosty joined the team.
Next question I'll answer, environment with
you play from different location, Brandon.
Listen.
I get this question all the time. Like, yo, how come he's never playing with you? Like, yo, why is his cam off? Like,
everyone's just like, dude, do you hate the team? I'm like, guys, relax. I'm undefeated at the Heczquarters. You know what I mean? It's just a very simple answer. Dude. Like, what, we've lost 2 online. I think we've lost 2 league matches with Dan, right? Only 2?
Mm-hmm.
And there were both times I was here.
Yeah.
Both times. What?
And
9-0? 10-0? Lost count at this point. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, nah. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, you live literally right next to the headquarters, and it's like, why are you going to play at a different location when, like, you... I mean, for me, even it's still weird for me. I mean, I still play here, like...
Because I don't have to bring the PC there. Like, a lot of people don't understand is, like, because we have league PCs, and I don't want to have to always bring, like, every game day, because sometimes, like, it won't even be there the night before because they, like, pre-fire, like, get it here, you know what I'm saying, for the next day, or... I don't have to get here. Like, it's like a 35-40 minute Uber. Sometimes there's like a Stars or Mavs game, and then there's just like
sleeping on the way here. Like,
bro, and it's insane. And then sometimes like not all the time, but I'll get like car sick, like a little nauseous, just from like the drive. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I'm not like, dude. Sometimes I'll get out the car and be like, oh my God, what the bro? I feel insane right now. I'm like, Jesus, bro. Then I get here and it's just like, I don't know. And then, I don't know, like, we're not going to get into, like, the main reason. I just, like, the pull on the plug, just put it like that. I'm like, okay, I'm never playing here again. I'm just joking. But it's just, like, I just like my routine also back at the HQ. A lot of people think it's like, oh, my God, he's mental. He can't play here. Like, I'm like, guys, like, it just makes more I live literally a 30-second walk from the HQ. My setup's there. I love all the food spots there. Got a routine.
As I said the other day, right, it's March the 5th, the last time that the OpTic guys lost a series online on one of these qualifiers, right? And that's pretty much around the time that Ghosty joined anyway. So ever since Ghosty's really got settled in the team, it's been, domination from OpTic Online, and obviously Dashy's done it at Heczquarters. I don't know if that is set to continue for that long, just because the Heczquarters, I'm not sure if this is still the case, but it certainly was the story a few months ago that the lease on the Heczquarters, when it's over, it's going to be shut down as a facility. They don't necessarily feel like they need it anymore, OpTic, and you can understand it. They've, repurposed the Envy facility in the, well, I'm not going to say it again, to be used for OpTic's purposes. The COD team plays out of there. The Scump watch parties are done out of there. Most things are done out of there now, right? So apart from the Heczquarters being used for Dashy and Formal to have as their favorite place to play and to stream, it's probably not providing too much value anymore than it was before the merger that came through with OpTic and Envoy a couple of years ago. So it probably feels like that might end at some point. Dashy might be forced at some point to go in with the guys, but seems to be working out like this. It'll probably work out like that as well, and Dashy might have to get used to a new routine next season. But I don't feel like it's just the fact that Dashy is playing for the Heczquarters why they're doing well online. There's obviously other factors. Ghosty's record in this team is 20-6, but his record ever since, like, as I say, ever since he's kind of settled in with them, because the first few games they were a little bit up and down, right? They had a pretty tough time, went to their own major, lost a bit, then they made that losers run. So I think in their first 6 series they were like 3-3, but ever since then they're 17-3. And just look at these comparisons. Obviously, there's some caveats here, right? Start of the game might be a little bit more up and down, but just the comparison is pretty wild. That in series, OpTic Texas no Ghosty with iLLeY and Scump at the start of the year. 9-7 series counts. They got a 4th place, but they also got a top 12, which is the first event, right? And then second event, they came 4th. The best and worst placement since Ghosty is seconds. So best second, worst seconds, average seconds. They're 8-4 in series at majors, 20-6 in series on the whole. And look even at hardpoint, right? So before Ghosty, they had a 14-13 record, 0.99 team KD. I mean, here they've got a 1.06 team KD, but a 32-10. Really impressive, right, to have that good of a record with that marginal of a positive KD. It's kind of like a Thieves type of thing when their fundamentals are good, right? Is what I'm trying to get at. Because last year, their team KD was probably 1.06 or something at hardpoints, but yet their win rate was so much lower than this, which really does show they've turned a corner. Search 19-12. I really think like they've played a lot of Search and Destroy 8 lately, and I think that's taken a big step for them as well. Of course, all the game modes are better. Their control has still not been spectacular at all, and they know that's what they need to work on. But yeah, since Ghosty, the team has definitely had a massive turnaround. I don't think it's just Ghosty why this has been the case, but he's obviously been a massive part as to why. These are his numbers actually so far here in Major 5. They don't tell the full picture, right, of what he does for this team. Look how much hill time he's got as well. Even Octane can't compete with these type of kitted numbers. So yeah, 0.98 in hardpoint, 0.89 a controller. Search and Destroy has been killing it with a 1.5 so far. And obviously he's been more impactful to this team than the 83 does suggest. I will say though, I know there was some debate in the comment section on yesterday's video that Ghosty should be the Rookie of the Year. I think he can win it, but he's got to win an event. He's got to win at least Major 5 if he wants to win it off Scrappy, because, I mean, these are Scrappy's numbers so far. Now, as obviously numbers aren't everything, right? But let's be honest here. This is so far Major 5. And they've played decent teams so far, Toronto. They played OpTic, they played Surge, and they played one other decent team, I think, as well. And Scrappy's got 99 in pretty much all the kill and damage categories. I mean, these numbers are ridiculous. And he's won an event back at Major 3, and he won the MVP there. So it's just, to me, it's really difficult to look past Scrappy for this year's Rookie of the Year. Ghosty is going to have to do something spectacular to take it. Yes, he's incredibly valuable to the OpTic team, but as is Scrappy to the Toronto team, because without Scrappy, they wouldn't have won that Major 3. He wouldn't have won the MVP if he wasn't on the team, of course, which he did. So in my opinion, it's going to take something pretty almighty to topple Scrappy for the Rookie of the Year, because he's right up there as the MVP candidate of the season. He's in the top 4, top 3 category for that one. So I can't really see a world in which Ghosty wins it unless he actually does go back-to-back. But you guys might disagree in the comment section below. Very much enjoyed your thoughts down there. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.